Hello and welcome to another video about electric Raleigh choppers. This time I'm featuring my latest project. It's a pearlescent orange chopper that I resprayed from its original colour red. Orange being a very 1970s colour. However, this has a 21st century twist because it's pearlescent, and if you look closely in the sunshine you'll be able to see the mica particles popping and looking superb. And even on a cloudy day this paint really glows and has a radiance that a plain orange would not have. This paint is actually a Ford colour used by them on Focus ST cars in the early 2000s, and its official name is Electric Orange. So I can't think of a more appropriate colour for an electric chopper than Electric Orange. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll have seen the build process for these bikes. And this time I wanted to cover some of the minor modifications that I carry out during this process to enhance the overall rideability and user experience for the bikes. Each of them in itself is a minor detail, but collectively I believe they just make this bike so much more fun to ride. Indeed, I have ridden some original Mark 1, Mark 2 standard bikes, and they're incredibly difficult to ride, having enjoyed the luxury of an electric bike. So anything that I can do on this bike to improve the way it's ridden is a definite plus, and you will enjoy it as a result. Now, the original choppers were steel framed and quite heavy, and Raleigh set the gearing quite low to make them easier for kids to ride. But this bike of course has a motor, and therefore typically I'm riding this bike at speeds quite a bit in excess of what the original bikes were intended for. And as a result you find that when you're travelling at those speeds, 14-15 miles an hour and more, your legs are pedalling ridiculously fast. I understand the correct technical term for this is cadence, and there is an optimum speed that you should pedal at, neither too fast nor too slow, to get the most out of your bike and your leg muscles. So I wanted to raise the gearing on this. Fortunately, it's quite a simple process, and what I've done is modified the sprocket here on the rear and changed the original 20-tooth sprocket, replaced it with a 16-tooth sprocket, thereby raising the gearing by about 20%. Now, while we're at this end of the bike, there's one other thing I want to show you, and that's this chain adjuster. Under certain circumstances, when you apply maximum torque from the pedals and from the pedal assist, it is possible, certainly in lower gears, to actually put so much torque on the chain that the axle gets pushed forwards, resulting in the wheel moving and the chain dropping off and you're losing traction. So in order to hold the wheel and axle in place in the frame, I fitted one of these. It has an eyelet which goes over the axle. You can't see, it's behind here, but it's held in place with this nut and threaded portion, and therefore however much torque you're going to put on this chain here, maybe you're going up a hill in a low gear, you're confident that it's not going to actually move the wheel. It has an added benefit also of allowing you to accurately adjust the tension on the chain with this nut, so that you can get it that it's just right, not too loose that it'll fall off, but obviously not too tight that it's actually going to strain the chain. Now, one issue I found with these Mark III bikes is that they are very unstable when they're parked on the kickstand, and that's due, I think, to the geometry being not very well designed, but also wear and tear on the joints, and possibly the kickstand itself actually rotating slightly relative to the frame. Now, if you look at this original unmodified Mark III, you will see that compared to the orange bike, the kickstand is very much further forward, and despite the fact the original owner has put an extended kickstand, it's still very unstable. And in fact, if I were to rotate these handlebars in this direction, it would actually fall over and I have to support it. Now, an electric chopper the additional weight of a battery on the upper half of the bike makes it even more unstable. My solution to that is to force the kickstand to remain further towards the rear of the bike, causing the bike to stand nearer the vertical. And it's quite easy to achieve that with a simple modification. What I've done is fit this thin piece of metal, probably about 15mm by 20 or 30, screwed in here, and it prevents the kickstand from going quite so far forwards, bringing it further back. It's therefore much more stable than the standard kickstand. Now, if you own a Mark III, you're probably well aware of this problem. You may want to consider this as a modification to your bike to improve its stability. When I'm riding my bike in my neighbourhood, some of the paths can be quite busy with pedestrians and other cyclists. So I always fit both a bell and a light to all of my bike projects as a matter of not just courtesy to other people, but basic common sense and safety. Now, the Bafang motor kits include these LED lights, really bright, but the casing is too modern and a bit cheap and nasty looking for my retro style bikes. So what I like to do is I take the LEDs out of these and house them in a retro lamp. So this is a Sturmey Archer light. It's a lovely blocky chrome style and it's quite easy to fit it. So this ensures that I can maintain the looks of the bike, but also be safe and be seen when I'm out riding it in busy places. I really enjoy riding these bikes. They're so much fun to ride. And as you can see from the odometer, I've done over 100 miles on this bike since I built it a couple of months ago. But I think it's time to take it out for a ride again, get my drone out, and for me to shoot some fresh footage of riding this bike. Thanks for watching. See you next time.